everybody, it's Trial Tuesday, and today we kind of have a special edition. We are on location at the law offices of attorney David Aylor here on Leeds Avenue in North Charleston. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming by.
Good to see your joint here.
Absolutely.
Today we wanted to talk about something that you see frequently, and this is victims' rights in criminal cases. So how does it all work?
Well, it can be a really confusing thing. Obviously, first of all, it's very traumatic, no matter if it's some sort of fraud that's occurred or maybe a physical or sexual attack. What's important to understand is that a victim has the right to be at any and all hearings, no matter how big or small it may be. Within a police department or the solicitor's office, they're going to have a victim's advocate. That's somebody that'll help communicate, sort of letting them know exactly what's going on. However, what we often see is they need a little bit more information than that, and that's where an attorney really can come in. Help them sort of understand how the process works, why police may do one thing or another, and then of course why the prosecutor is going one direction or another with the actual case. You also have the other component which sometimes comes into play, which is a civil remedy. Just because there's a criminal case doesn't mean there's a civil case, and just because maybe a criminal case goes away still doesn't mean there's not a potential civil remedy. So even though they act as two separate bodies, sometimes they do come together. So it's important to sort of understand how that meshes.
If it's something traumatic and emotional, do you see that they often miss a lot of things because it's hard for them to deal with, so that's why they need an attorney or that victim's rights advocate to help them out?
Absolutely. A lot of times they don't really understand everything because from an emotional standpoint they're not really there to accept it yet, and that's where an attorney often can help them sort of understand exactly what's happening from a step-by-step basis, basically showing that what the system is doing is the way that it would always work. It's not specific to your case. But when you get into specific things such as perhaps restitution, an attorney really can come in and help and say, this is what's owed, these are the damages that have become, the actual damages, and then of course if it goes beyond that, looking at potential lawsuits for either the person that's harmed them or their employer or their other members that were involved.
I ask you this all the time, but obviously the legal system is so confusing for people like me, who don't do it. What's the most common thing you see when people come to you and say, like, I'm in too deep, perhaps? What have they missed because they didn't go to an attorney first?
Well, a lot of times they feel like the system may have moved either too slow or too fast for them, and they're not satisfied with where the case actually is. Another part of it is they don't really know exactly what to do. They feel like that they have some damages, but they say, hey, from our restitution standpoint, we only have X amount of bills, but in reality, I'm in a much worse position because of what's happened to me. And that's where we're really looking at and trying to determine, is it going beyond just the criminal restitution and actually looking at it to be an actual civil claim, which you would then bring as the root of it, of course, being the criminal act.
You had mentioned fraud. Is that something that you're seeing more and more of?
Absolutely. We're seeing it in so many different ways, particularly with social media and things online, and sometimes it's a lot harder to sort of compile all the damages that come from that. And again, that's where the police start, but an attorney can assist you through that process.
You hear a lot of those fraud cases where someone realizes someone has a credit card, is using their name, and then they find that they themselves have to walk through and try to prove all of this, that it wasn't them. Contacting an attorney up front, you can help with all that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also just making sure that you're doing the correct steps as far as reporting it, of course, to the credit card companies as well as the police. And that's true also as a victim. A lot of times people don't know where to turn if they've been assaulted either physically or sexually, and going to the police and then following along those steps is going to be the right direction the attorney can help with.
Okay, so bottom line, every time, see an attorney.
At least talk to them and see if they can help.
Yeah, I'm sure you can always help. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for coming
us
out.
Here. Yeah,
absolutely.
On location, Trial Tuesday with attorney David Aylor. We've got much more on Low Country Live right after this.